Yeah, well, it's an honor to be here. Anytime you make a bowl game, it's great for your team. It's great for the players who are playing their last game in a Cal uniform. It's great for the young players who might get their first opportunity to play. You have these extra, 10 to 12 practices, which create, development for your team. It's always a goal of ours to win a bowl game at the beginning of the year, and we know that we have a tough task. UNLV is an excellent football team. Credit to Coach and his staff for what they've done. And, Gronk hit on it. This, and Coach knows, like, this time right now, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on with players, individual players, teams, coaching staffs, and people forget, these guys they go to school. And we've had, in the last, combining a Monday, Tuesday, and tomorrow game day, we'll have had about 170 finals being taken. We have guys taking finals tomorrow before the game. So these guys have a lot going on, and the environment is new and different for everybody. And I think, the further we get into it, there's going to be some more controls. But right now, these guys are balancing a lot. I have empathy for the players because this is brand new for them, and it is, for the fans and the coaching staff and everybody involved. There's a lot going on. It can be a little bit chaotic at times, but we're certainly excited to be here. Our team's fired up. We've had 3 really good days of practice. Looking forward to a great opponent, and I know it's going to be a tough football game, and it's one more round for our team for this year.
Thank you. Coach Alexander?
Yes, first I want to say, thank you on behalf of UNLV, our athletic department, our president, President Whitfield, our players, and our coaching staff. It's not often that UNLV is in a bowl game, but over the last 2 years, we've established a standard that we hope to keep as a tradition. It's a difficult time on our side of the ball, but our guys have done a great job. They're full of energy. They're focused. They're giving their coaches, every bit of their attention. And they want this reward. They want this reward and the opportunity to play in a bowl game that they've earned through their hard work. But at the same time, every day is a new day. These guys, they come to work. There's outside influences, but they're locked into playing in this bowl game, having success, and going out, for their seniors, as Justin said, and making sure that we enjoy the process.
Thank you. All right. Any questions? Yes.
I need the microphone? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I'm just going to hold it.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Coach, I know this is coming home for you. The team was here, able to take some pictures. What does this moment mean to you to be the interim head coach?
Ooh, it means a lot. Out there in the crowd, there's a young man that we went to high school together, and he's here doing his job. There's someone else in the crowd there that we went to the junior college together. There's family 5 minutes, hours away from here in the Inland Empire, and I just don't have enough tickets for everyone. But it means a lot, and I think, I'll just go back to the beginning, UNLV being my first official job, and before that I was with John Robinson at USC where I played, and there's a part of me that wants to make sure that that is noted, and there'll be a JR sticker on our helmet. And the last time UNLV won a bowl game, it was with him, and I was there with him. And those kind of moments, you cherish when you come back and you sit in this seat.
Del, you kind of mentioned it in your opening statement, but the simple fact of what this means to your team, very few guys have hopped in that portal thus far. I think only 4. That's a pretty low number. What does that just speak to the volumes of the program and what this means to them to be here?
It speaks to their character and integrity. As you know, you've got guys that have jumped in the portal and they're going into the playoffs. So it's a difficult time. So I just think that, we talk about respecting each other. In the short time that I've had, we've talked about respecting each other, respecting everyone's option to choose. But I think, that word respect in our locker room has to do with let's stick around and let's finish what we started.
Question for Coach Wilcox. I'm sure you've seen UNLV's offense, particularly the go-go system. Is this already like one of the more unorthodox offenses you'll see all season long? And how explosive do you feel they are?
Well, they've been very explosive. You just look at the scoring, the variety that you see from them, the option game, then the traditional offense that you see, the spread stuff, the tempo stuff, the QB run, the QB pass. The receiver is a phenomenal player. So they got a lot of weapons, and what they do well. And they do give you some formations and some conflicts that are a little unique. And so we spent a fair amount of time, obviously, preparing for that. But got a lot of respect for what they've done offensively this year and the players doing it.
Hey, Coach Wilcox. I want to ask you just about Fernando Mendoza and what he meant to the program, and how did this team and quarterback room react to his transfer?
Yeah, this is just college football in this era. There's going to be changes, and the individuals got to make decisions. And again, I empathize with the players. I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, there's a lot that they're going to be able to take advantage of in their time as college football players that people in the past didn't. I think it's a more complicated environment. In the old days, I guess that was 2021 and before, the temptations weren't there, and the number of people involved with the players were fewer. But now the voices that are talking to them, from obviously family members who care about them deeply, but then the agents and trainers, and they're getting pulled a lot of different directions. So I do have empathy for them. But the individual's got to make decisions based on what's best for them. And we have some really good football players on our team. There's going to be guys that have played all year that are going to be playing tomorrow night. And then there's going to be some guys who have opportunities due to either injuries or departures. And so I'm excited for them. But it's just part of college football in 2024, and nothing really surprises me anymore.
Coach Alexander, you have a quarterback who was thrust into a tough position as well early on in the season. Can you talk about how the team has rallied around him and what you've seen from him in his growth and leadership until now?
After speaking to his mom last night in an event that we were fortunate to go to at Cosm, he doesn't see it as adversity. We don't see it as being thrusted into a difficult situation. We got to the end of training camp and we chose a quarterback. Speaking to his mom yesterday, we talked about, it's obvious how he was brought up and how he was raised. When we chose, the other guy to be the number one quarterback, he didn't waver. He didn't waver. His voice was still present. His ability to come in the building first in the morning didn't change. And when, his opportunity showed up, he was right on the spot. So there wasn't anything that he had to do different once it was his opportunity. And again, it's just speaking to our locker room, but Hodge is a winner, and you see that in our record a little bit in our success. But what you don't see is what's behind the scene and how the guys support him, and how he's a big part of keeping the energy going when we're out on the practice field or in the game.
Coach Alexander, you already touched on this, but has anything changed with the coordinators on the sideline? Do you still expect to have Sugar and Brian Marion out there?
Right. Well, no, there's some things that are going on behind the scenes. You guys will find it out soon enough, but Brennan has decided to move towards other opportunities. And we've collectively put our heads together, and said, this is how we're going to do this game. It's the same offense, after you spend 14 weeks together or 2 years together. I think that, just like players, no one player is going to dictate how the game is going to be played, so that's what's going to happen. You're going to live with it. And, the players are in charge of the game. Looking forward to young players playing the game, looking for experienced players to step up and to continue to make plays. And it's the same thing on the staff. Wherever there's adversity, we rally, and that's what's going to happen.
Coach Wilcox, want to talk about Noel Williams, former Rebel, one of the best defensive players in the country. What can you say about that young man?
Oh man, we're fortunate to get him. There's no doubt about that. He's been with us 2 years. Noel came into the program and was a guy that we felt like had a lot of tools athletically. And last year, his junior year, he had some real good moments. He had some not as good moments. He's a bit inconsistent, and we really challenged him to, dive into technique, become an expert at playing the position and trusting the defense, and he did that. I mean, that guy lives football. When he goes home, he still thinks about football. When he wakes up in the morning, he's thinking about, what do I need to do for my football career? And that's shown. I mean, he studies, he's bought into everything we've asked him to do, and he went out and he's got talent now. He's got talent. He went out and had a phenomenal year. He's a consensus All-American, a lot of first-team All-American lists that he's on, and just he doesn't say a whole lot. He goes about his business. He is a total professional. He's going to play pro football, and we are just so fortunate to have had him, and he sets a really good example on how to become a good player for other guys in the room.
Coach Wilcox, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the nuances of getting a starting lineup together? Like I think maybe you're down to your number 3 quarterback, and then what are some of those other changes, and how has that impacted just preparation for this game?
Yeah, the preparation's gone very smooth. Things happen and rosters change, whether it's for one reason or another. And CJ, who was our third quarterback, CJ's played college football. He played conference championship games. He was the MVP of a bowl game. He can play. We're glad he's on the team. He's done a great job this season. Probably didn't get to play as much as he would have wanted, but just like Coach said, took advantage of the reps he had, the preparation, the way his behavior in the building, how he acted towards his teammates. You would never know the difference. And so I'm really excited for CJ to get an opportunity. And heck, we got another quarterback in there who's a true freshman, EJ. We got CJ and EJ. And he's a darn good player. Hasn't played, but he came to us out of Seattle and done a really good job. He's made up a lot of ground in the last few weeks, just getting more and more opportunities in practice and in our developmental period. So I'm excited for him as well.
Hello. What has been both of your experiences so far with team activities leading up to the LA Bowl?
Experience first.
Yeah, experience, yeah. I've known Coach a long time. He's done it. Anyway, it's been really good. We got here on Saturday. They got the Universal Studios. That was on Sunday. And we had practice, Universal Studios. Then they had the Monday Night Football experience last night. Again, most of our team could make that. Some of them couldn't. We had some of those conflicts with finals, but they've enjoyed it. We're staying at a great place. The hospitality has been unbelievable. The practice setup's been fantastic. Great job on the weather, whoever was in charge of that out here. Really, really solid. And we got a lot of guys from Southern California, so that's really cool too, because their families are out at practice. A lot of ex-players have showed up to practice, so it's been fantastic. And now it's time, it's day before the game, and it's honing in on the game. And our guys have done a great job of balancing football, enjoying themselves, finals, and then getting ready to play tomorrow.
Yes, everything he said. To go to a bowl game, you step off the plane, you've got the police escort, and it becomes real, So we get off the plane, we take the ride to Long Beach, me being a native. I'm like, wait a minute, we're playing in SoFi, but staying in Long Beach, I'm full of complaints, but you ride over the bridge and you get over to Harbor College, and the ride is only maybe 10 minutes. The facility there is set up, locker room, field. They did a good job making sure that the facility that we practice in is great for our players, to be able to go to Universal Studios. We've got a mix of players. I can't say that a majority are from California and the West Coast, but we've got some guys that were able to go to Universal Studios, have fun. Some of the younger guys, come in on that last bus, and they've got big hats, big stuffed hats. They've got hands and Harry Potter and all kind of stuff going on. So some of those guys really enjoyed that. Cosm yesterday, to be able to experience the game, the food there at Cosm was big time, the first class, and then to walk into the stadium today. We play in Allegiant Stadium. It's one of the best stadiums in the world, as Gronk said. So to follow that up and play here at SoFi, another big venue, it's special, so I think everything's been first class. I think the people, Adolfo has done a great job. Our primary escort, Juan, has done a great job. And, once you get to know people and you talk to them, I talked to Juan and come to find out that Juan and I grew up in the same neighborhood, which is shocking because not a lot of people grew up in my neighborhood. But it's been first class, and our guys, our players, and our staff really appreciate the hospitality. And like Coach said, I mean, this is Friday night, so I say all of that and then I throw it out the window because it's time to get ready to play a game.
Coach Alexander, can you also talk about the versatility, Ricky White, provides both on offense and as a special teams player?
Yes, special and unique, when you've got a guy that thrives in special teams, and normally as a receiver, he's a return guy, or he's maybe a left tackle or somewhere on kickoff return where it's a little insignificant, but to be a guy that's making plays as a punt blocker, when you start off with special teams and you bring a group of guys in, the first thing you ask is, which one of you guys have ever blocked a punt? And then you put him in a position to try to make a play. Well, a year ago, Ricky didn't block a punt, but the time that he spent being a student of the game and listening to Coach Shebus and find those little details that are going to help him get closer to the punter, I mean, he took it and ran, and what you see, to be an all-conference player of the year on special teams as a wide receiver, non-returner, I hadn't seen it before. So that's tough to do, non-returner, non-punter, kicker. I don't know, I've never seen it before. So very special and unique.
With all of the changes coaching for both of your programs, for both of your programs, you guys have a huge shift in coaching. Everyone talks about the players coming and going. What's going on with which coaches are here and coaching, and which ones have moved on to their next stop?
Well, I think bigger than the who's, it's really about, that's normal, right? It's December, it's January, once the season is over and you've done well, someone's going to try to come and get you. If you haven't done well, then we know that result also. I think the biggest thing now that is bigger than us coaches is the players. The players are forced to make business decisions now, and I don't think that they're old enough and mature enough. And so now it's the outside influences that are, some less experienced than others influencing decisions. And we know that there's, up to 3,000 guys in the portal. So transition is normal in our business. But at the same time, for me, the biggest issue isn't the coaches, it's with the players. He just talked about a guy that, is in year 3 and 4 and has only gotten better. And we've got players in year 1 and 2 that don't want to take the time to develop.
Yeah, as Coach said, this time of year, there's going to be movement. Fortunately for us, we've got stability, and we also have, support on each side of the ball. And so there's been, on offense for us, we've got some new faces, and they're there to support, encourage. They're helping with recruiting, and then there's staff members who've been with us for multiple years who are coaching the positions and game planning and going to be involved in calling the game. And the practices have gone very, very smoothly. Again, some of the positions have been elevated, so maybe they were working with the receiver group and now they're in charge of the receiver group. And so it's been really good for them. Our players have done a great job of staying the course. And so really hasn't been very disruptive at all. And the new guys have been around and involved just, to encourage and meet the guys and be supportive, but not involved with game planning and things like that.
Dale, who's going to call the plays on offense for you guys, and how have you sort of prepared for that?
That's top secret. No, it's the way I explained it to the guys, and Coach knows this. The game is pretty much scripted. You know what I mean? You have the normal down and distance base calls, you got the situations calls, and as a staff, what we've done is we've put that together, and one of us, if the camera can find him, will be, making those decisions based on the group. So we're working tirelessly this week, somewhere between trying to, talk to signees and get instruction from Coach Mullen and make sure the players are having fun. You know, the hours that are left are the hours that the offensive staff is coming together collectively to say, what is our plan? You know, the walkthrough today, the walkthrough in meetings tonight and tomorrow, you know, will really define who we are in a given situation. And that stuff comes from who we've already been. You know what I mean? We don't want to, you know, reinvent anything. We're just going to make sure that collectively, you know, between series at halftime, that we're doing the right thing by our players.
And then you mentioned all the stuff that's going on outside the game. How do you keep the players focused on, you know, the actual X's and O's, and these are the plays we're going to run, and what have you seen from them, you know, leading up to this game in that regard?
Again, that's the locker room. You know what I mean? I think that's the culture. You know, to be able to go out to practice, call the guys up, and to look into their eyes, and all they want is information. You know, they want information that's going to help them have success. And so you can't fake that when you stand in front of a group of young men and you know that they're eager to move forward. You know, so the energy's been great, the effort's been great, the focus has been great. You know, I just hope it's great, you know, on Saturday. But it's been fun, and there's been a lot of buy-in, and that doesn't just happen overnight. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be where we are right now without those guys, you know, and Coach Odom setting the tone, and then now with him moving on with that same player leadership in the locker room, you know, taking care of the small things.
Coach Wilcox, how do you feel like you and your staff and your team navigated its first season in the ACC?
You know, in terms of, you're talking about just the travel and all that.
I mean, just being
football, the rules of the game are the same. You ever seen Hoosiers? You might be too young. Anybody seen Hoosiers? Okay, you remember when they measured the basket? Yeah. Rules of the game are the same. Some new venues, some new coaching staff, some different players that maybe you're not quite as familiar with as you would have been in the, you know, the old Pac-12. But football is football, and you know, the travel logistics were different. Our university did a great job supporting us. Our admin, our operations team, we left a day early. Just, you know, these airplanes are fast and big and comfortable, and they got food and Gatorade, so our guys did a great job. We made it a positive. I mean, we'd leave on Thursdays, we'd spend an extra day together, all day Thursday. We're traveling, Friday we're together, Saturday we're together, play the game, we fly home right after the game, and our guys loved it. It was awesome. It was, you know, especially in this era when you got new people each and every year, you got a lot of new faces, it's like, those 3 days are valuable because you're together, you're with each other for 3 straight days. We had academic time on Thursdays and Fridays to make sure they're doing what they need to do in school. But I thought it was awesome, you know, and our guys handled it great. We had great support from the university, and like I said, some new venues, new players, and you're going against new coaches, but the rules of the game are the same.
Coach Alexander, I want to ask you about Dan Mullen, the energy he brings. What are your thoughts on him being named head coach?
Well, you look outside at the press conference and you say, wow. You know what I mean? You know, it was packed. You know, they had to bring chairs, you know, that were outside of the tent that they set up for them. You know, they got the red carpet there. You know, from the outside, you listen and you hear, you know, him being an entertainer, you know, and having been a commentator, you know, you listen and you hear him control the crowd, you know. He gets people excited, you know, with his presence. You know, I know doing my research, you know, the success that he's had. You know, you look at his record there at Florida, and it's like, you know, in this day and age, you know, that's a winning record. Whatever happened to winning records being okay, you know, but his energy is great. You know, we had great conversations. He's back on campus and man, he's working. You know, he is a spark plug and he is going, and, you know, it's like, hey, coach, I'm going to practice. I don't know if I can call this guy right now, you know, but I'm looking forward to, you know, getting with him Thursday when we get back and full steam ahead.
Is there any last questions? All right, I'm just gonna ask one last one. What's been your impression so far of SoFi Stadium?
In the modern stadiums, I guess you would call them, I mean, is there any better than this? And this is impressive. I mean, not just the feat of doing all this and putting it all together, but I mean, every detail. When we got here the other night, we had a coaches function, and we were in one of the suites in one of the entertainment areas. I mean, everything was thought of. I mean, there wasn't one little detail that they didn't think of in building this place. And then the way it looks, the way it sounds. I mean, everybody has told me when we came down, this is for a modern stadium, this is as good as it gets, you know. So it's really exciting for us and our players and everybody to get a chance to play in it.
Well, you know, I'm a little bit of a jokester, but, you know, I think that this is way better than Jerry's World. You know what I mean? This is big time. You know what I mean? I'm an LA guy, and when you walk in and you feel the effect, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a little bit of a gladiator coliseum where it just goes up and not out, you know, and it's right on top of you, and every seat is a great seat. But it is big time and special. You know, and it's just kind of where things are, you know, to be able to have two teams play here, it's got to be special, right? Yeah, so I like it.